Evening call to order, Town of St. John Plan Commission, regular meeting for January 21st, 2026. Would invite all that are able to stand for the pledge, please. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Abernathy, can we get the roll call, please?
Justin Nestor.
Present.
Colin Entry.
Present.
Rudy Bampick.
Present.
Russ Vogel.
Present.
Tommy Malicki.
Present.
John Gill.
Present.
Bill Minnesopoulos.
Here.
Adam Decker.
Here.
John Dykstra.
Here.
Ashley Abernathy present.
All right, we have a quorum. Agenda item number 4, election of officers. Item A, president. Chair would entertain a motion for the president.
I'll make a motion to nominate Justin Nestor for president.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gill, second by Mr. Vogel. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Congratulations to me. Item B, the chair would entertain a motion for nomination for vice president.
I'll nominate Colin Emschway.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gill, second by Mr. Bamick. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Colin. And last but not least, 4C, nomination for secretary.
I'll nominate Russ Vogel for secretary.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Gill, second by Mr. Emschway. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Agenda item number 5, BZA appointment.
So annually, the Plan Commission has to appoint one of the sitting members to the Board of Zoning Appeals. This fulfills our other Plan Commission appointment that's required by statute. So it would just be one of the current sitting members on the Planning Commission would be appointed to the Board of Zoning Appeals. That's the first Wednesday of every month at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m.
Whoa.
Not a.m.
Whoa.
No.
All right, is there a motion for an appointee to the BZA?
Rudy was your appointment last year. The Plan Commission can so choose to adopt or appoint Mr. Bambick again, or appoint a new member as the board decision.
I move to keep Mr. Bambick.
Second.
Motion to reappoint Mr. Bambick by Mr. Emschway, second by Mr. Gill. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Rudy. Agenda item 6A, the December 17, 2025 public meeting minutes. We've all had a chance to review those. Any questions, comments? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve them.
I'll make a motion to approve the December 17th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Emschway, second by Mr. Bambick. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Agenda item number 7, resolutions. 2020, approving an economic development plan for said area, establishing a residential housing program and all matters related thereto.
So this is just a resolution approving the resolution already approved by the RDC at their December meeting. And this is just the next step in establishing a residential economic development area, commonly referred to as a TIF district, or the Castle Rock subdivision. I do have a map available if anybody wants to see the area map.
I would.
May have a change from the one we have in our packet, right?
Nope,
Yeah.
it's
just-
this one here.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Does this come in the form of a recommendation to the town? Just pass a resolution? All right, is there a motion to pass resolution 2026-01-21A?
I'll make a motion to approve 2026-01-21A, the resolution.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Vogel, second by Mr. Bambick. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Resolution is passed. Item B, 2026-01-B, a resolution of the Town of St. John Plan Commission approving a resolution of the St. John Redevelopment Commission declaring an area in the Town of St. John, Lake County, Indiana as an economic development area to be known as the Park West Economic Development Area, approving an economic development plan for said area, establishing a residential housing program, and all matters related thereto.
Similar to item B, this is just the next step in establishing that district. This covers the Park West subdivision, which, if the Plan Commission remembers, we did the rezoning public hearing for that and the subdivision hearing for that last year, and at some point in time, we'll see at least the first final plat presented for the subdivision. This is just that next step in creating that EDA district, and then here's the map, and again, it's just that subdivision that we've already done.
All right, questions, comments? If not, I would entertain a motion approving the resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution 2026-01B.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Vogel, second by Mr. Bambick. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye. Aye. That resolution is approved as well. Agenda item 8, public hearings. There are 3. The first one, item A, 2026-01 Shillings Edition. Mr. Slager, good evening.
Good evening, Jack Slager, representing the Shillings and the owner of the property, Distribution 8750 Wicker. As I mentioned at the study session 2 weeks ago, we recently completed our office addition on the main store at Schilling Lumber, and we, in order to expand our main building, we had to tear down 2 warehouses to make room for that. And so we are looking to create a new warehouse addition north of the lumberyard, and the building department requested that we do a 1-lot subdivision to enable us to get a building permit for that new warehouse addition. So that is what you'll see there is a 1-lot subdivision. This is north of the lumberyard, and this contains an existing warehouse. Used to be Nelson Construction.
It's pretty straightforward. You've been through the BZA, too?
Yes, correct. We did receive a couple of variances from the BZA that allowed us to move forward with the 1-lot sub.
Okay, questions, comments from the panel?
I believe our engineer has submitted a letter of satisfaction for the subdivision.
He's shaking his head in the affirmative.
That's correct.
All right. With that, we'll go ahead and open the public comment portion, since we are here on a hearing. Any members of the public who'd like to come up, speak for or against the request for a 1-lot subdivision, please feel free to do so. Just need your name and address, please. Second call. Might be the quickest one yet. Third and final call for public comment. With that, it is closed. All right, Mr. Slager, anything else?
That's it. I've got the Mylars tonight and hope to get them signed so we can move forward with our building addition this spring.
All right.
That would be next month, this is just planned.
This is actually final. I believe we already received primary. I thought. I could be wrong.
Yeah, we're doing primary and then final plat will be next month.
Okay.
I can still
Okay.
All right, is there a motion to grant the request for a 1-lot subdivision?
I'll make a motion to grant the request for a 1-lot subdivision.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Emschway, second by Mr. Vogel. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And apparently we'll
All right. Thank you.
Ready.
I will
finalize that next month. Gold star for being early and getting those in. Item 8B, 2026-02, Lucky Central St. John subdivision. Mr. Huss, good evening.
Good evening. Here tonight on behalf of Shamir Manhani and Lucky Business Incorporated. Agenda item before you tonight relates to certain property at the northeast corner of US 41 and 85th Avenue, currently unaddressed and soon to be known as 8575 South Wicker Avenue. Tonight's primary plat hearing request is to approve a 1-lot subdivision. It's never been subdivided before. Your engineer has reviewed the plat and found it to be satisfactory. Since I was before you 2 weeks ago at study session, we have responded to all comments received for the underlying development. None of the very minor changes have affected this plat in any way. Plat itself is rather straightforward, given it's a one-lot subdivision. The underlying subdivision, the underlying site plan adheres to the NDOT predetermined roadway right-of-way cuts for roadway access and demonstrates appropriate buffers from the pipeline that cuts across the northern third of the property. It also dedicates certain drainage and utility easements for a bypass sewer, which will allow the ditch to be filled in and greater beautify the property. Beyond those remarks, I'm happy to report that NDOT concurred with the traffic study just yesterday. That was spoken about 2 weeks ago. We will be moving immediately towards permit applications, but it's not necessarily why we're here tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions, but otherwise would request to open the public hearing and hopefully approve this primary plat of subdivision.
Okay. Questions, comments?
So just as a note for the Plan Commission, while it's not shown on this plat, it has been shown on the site plan that was presented to you. They are going to be doing the sidewalk along 85th that will then have a crosswalk down to the bank across the road. But they are also seeking a waiver from the subdivision requirement for along US 41. This was also presented to you guys for January study session.
Yes, I do appreciate it. I seem to always leave the important parts out.
So as far as that sidewalk on 241, there's no way to put that in at all?
So while we haven't discussed it as it relates to this specific development, it has been discussed. The scooters is a prime example. So US 41 has a fully developed, it's a fabulous sidewalk network. It extends, I think, through the entire length of St. John, except for maybe the south side, on the west side of US 41. There, on the east side of 41, there is, I wouldn't even call it jagged sidewalk network. I would call it non-existent on the east side. The east side has multiple developments, not just this one. To the north, well, now it's R-Bar. There's a lot of developments that push parking areas very close to the right-of-way line, for better or worse. And then the right-of-way line that the state has on the east side is very inconsistent. This property is a perfect example of one. In order to incorporate a sidewalk network, either on state property or off, would be exceptionally difficult. It would impact parking areas and bring other developments separate from this into greater, I would say, greater noncompliance with the rules and regulations of the town. Some of the waiver requests for other developments have requested that waiver because in the spirit of having a jagged sidewalk network would encourage pedestrians to use parkways that are not necessarily safe for pedestrian travel. And at least in my opinion, it's prudent to provide east-west connections, but otherwise encourage pedestrians, if they must traverse up and down by foot US 41, to use that network on the west side. So that has been the argument for requesting these waivers. In the case of this development, what we are providing is a sidewalk along 85th Avenue that will traverse into this development. And then, while it's not illustrated on this plat, as part of the state permit process, we will be, this petitioner will be constructing pedestrian signals to enable safe crossing of the east leg of 85th Avenue, which does not exist today. So it would provide the ability for a pedestrian on the west side to safely cross US 41 at the 85th Avenue intersection and move further east and then walk into this property, but not traverse along US 41 on this property.
So, and I've seen the landscaping plan from the BZA that was approved by them.
Yes.
And I know they wanted it pretty, they were set their way on that one. But what about if, and I'm sure Ashley knows more about it, the 90% fee in lieu of for sidewalk being reimbursed to us for that?
So the design standards and the subdivision control ordinance do require that the sidewalk be installed. However, if probabilities or the inability for the sidewalk to be installed along any right-of-way, that the planning commission can make the reasonable request that the developer provide payment to the town at 90% of the estimated cost of that construction of that sidewalk along that frontage into the town's sidewalk, curb, and gutter fund. It's not been something that we voted on before because we've not granted too many waivers, but it is an option that is available to the planning commission, that if they still want to have something done for a sidewalk in the future, that there's still that fund, that capacity that is available for if he is the one.
Are you guys opposed of something in that nature?
I think I could speak on behalf of my client that if it wasn't granted, it wouldn't be a deal breaker, but I would only add for consideration that the waiver has been granted for the reasons just stated, and that the installation and enabling of those pedestrian signals on the east leg, which my client is happy to take on and will be made to by NDOT, that expense is not insignificant. So he's still providing, at least in my opinion, a reasonable amount of infrastructure that will truly still be for the public.
I just look at it from, 5 years down the road, we want to do something. Everything's pretty flat land there, but if we have it to be able to pay for it instead of coming out of our pocket would be a great thing. At least if we could get that done.
I guess the only last thing I'll have to add is it is a waiver request. It's an opinion-based, it's a difficult, I'm not going to stand here and for you and say that you don't have points. It's kind of a coin flip, but that I've simply stated the reasons why, at least in my opinion, it's not wise to install sidewalk to nowhere today, given the volumes on US 41. If it was residential street, it'd be a totally different story.
All right. Anyone else, questions, comments? Town?
And you guys are doing the auto flush hydrant, aren't you?
Yes,
And that'll be maintained by you?
that is correct.
Okay. And you guys are tying it off 85th?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yes, that was, I don't think it's made any way into your materials, and I don't expect Engineer Dykstra has a chance to review it yet, given I submitted it today, but that is certainly been added to the plans.
And that was a request of Mike Boltema, the water and wastewater foreman, that was passed on to Mr. Huss with their first submittal. And I just got the submittals today, so I will get it recirculated back out to Mike to make sure he's satisfied.
All right. No other questions, comments? We'll open it for public hearing. Go ahead and invite any members of the public who'd like to come up on 2026-02 Lucky Central St. John subdivision. Second call. Third and final call. With that, public comment is closed. Mr. Huss? Are there any other questions, comments? Would entertain a motion to grant the request for one lot subdivision to be located at 8575 south of Wicker Avenue.
I would recommend acting on the waiver first and then the subdivision.
So noted.
So the waiver on the floor would be for the sidewalk along the US 41 right-of-way, and you can take into consideration Mr. Huss's testimony on the infrastructure that is going to be required to be installed by NDOT for the pedestrian crossing along 41 from 85th to 41, across 41 to the other side of 85th. You could take into consideration a full waiver. You could take into consideration, and you can correct me wrong, a partial waiver where there's still some funds that could be collected up to that 90%. You could make the waiver done with the fee loop up to the full 90%, or you could grant no waiver at all. Those are the options available to the plan commission for the waiver.
I agree.
So far as, Ashley, as far as the 90% in lieu of, to make that waiver would just be the 90% in lieu of?
You could make it the full 90%, or if you want to take into consideration Mr. Huss's testimony about the pedestrian crosswalk that is going to be requiring him to install for that safe pedestrian crossing across 41 on both sides of 85th, you could make it an amount up to that 90%, not to exceed that 90%. The ordinance is up to 90%, so you could take into consideration and do a reasonable reduction of that amount if a fee in lieu of is what the plan commission desires. So, for example, you could do 50% or 25%. Again, like what the plan commission would consider a reasonable amount up to that 90.
Do you have a, I'm sorry, Adam, go ahead.
I was going to say, just to clarify too, if the plan commission moves forward with a waiver and requests or requires the payment in lieu of installation of sidewalks, the costs or the amounts paid to the town may be used by the town anywhere inside the town. It won't be necessarily assigned to this particular property for future construction of sidewalks. So the way the ordinance is written, any funds paid into that fund by the developer simply get held by the town and can be used for sidewalk improvements anywhere throughout the town.
I'll make a motion for the waiver to be paid up to 90% of 41.
I'll second that.
So is that what, full 90%?
Full
minus
90%.
What they put in, minus the amount that they put in for the crosswalk? I thought
Well,
that was-
wouldn't the crosswalk, that would be a whole different thing, wouldn't it? Because they're doing that sidewalk down 85th. But if, wouldn't it
I think
be,
what James is saying is there's infrastructure besides the sidewalk along 85th, like a push button and lights and stuff like that to get the person across 41 safely. So they're saying because they're putting in all that infrastructure along 85th, that a full waiver with no fee in lieu of is what he's requesting along 41, saying he's doing more substantial improvements than just a plain Jane sidewalk on 85th.
They're putting the money in the corner, not the
Right,
sidewalk
in the
going north
corner
and
and-
south.
And I don't mean to interrupt, but should the plan commission entertain something like that motion, I'm sure the petitioner would be happy to, I mean, we won't know the amounts today. He hasn't solicited bids for the traffic signal or the pedestrian signal work, but should that be a motion that pleases the plan commission, I'm sure we would be happy to provide material evidence of what it did cost him when he does bid that work out.
So John is correct. So what it would be is it would be putting in a pedestrian push button that would be ADA compliant. So not only would it be a push button that would have the Braille textile to it, it would also talk and beep and then let you know when to go, that you see in a lot of places. That would then cross here, and then they would also be putting it on this side as well. So this is what Mr. Huss was talking about when he's saying that they would be putting in the pedestrian cross. So it doesn't exist currently. Yes, there's that crosswalk that's already there, but there's no pedestrian signal for them to be able to cross safely with the Walkman lighting and with the timer and then the hand saying, please don't cross.
Then they also have to put one in on the north side, correct? Like you're at,
Yeah, so there will be, the total, I can quickly outline the totality of the work. So when we, adding the pedestrian push buttons, the signal heads, they'll more than likely be on a post by themselves that will hold the the sign and then the button on the side of the pole. There will be one in the southeast corner and then one in the northeast corner. As a part of that work, another line item of work that's associated with it is obviously the striping is pennies compared to the rest, but they'll stripe a crosswalk. They will shift the stop bar you see there east a little bit, but what that will also cause the need to do is then more than likely reinstall the signal loops since they'll be a little too far forward. But that's basically what's the totality of the work that's associated with that, adding that pedestrian crossing.
Which is why I made the statement that if the plan commission finds that reasonable because they're doing that level of improvement, they could take that into consideration when considering the waiver and the fee.
I'll just say, I'm supportive of the waiver, just because we've granted waivers north of there before, so there's never going to be a cohesive sidewalk that goes from there all the way up to the plaza. That's what we dealt with when Scooters was here. And I think it's reasonable in exchange to get improvements for pedestrians at 3 corners of that intersection, to then facilitate people, to be able to cross there and then cross 85th to get into the gas station and to interconnect it, and then the sidewalk that's going to run from there, well, basically back to the gas station property. It's not going to go all the way around Finger Lake Road, but
Right. Yeah, I mean, they're improving a 10-plus-year-old crosswalk from the credit union to the funeral home, and once you get across there, you have sidewalk pretty much all the way to Ziggy's and then down to probably 96th.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
So as it stands right now, there is a motion with a second on the floor. If there's a change in the plan commission's decision, those would either have to be withdrawn or there would have to be action on the motion that is currently on the floor.
I'll retract my motion.
all right, Mr. Vogel's motion is withdrawn. With that, the chair would entertain a new motion.
I'll make a motion to grant the waiver for the sidewalk along US 41.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Gill, second by Mr. Bambeck to grant the sidewalk waiver. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Waiver's granted. And with that, I think we get back to the original request for a one-lot subdivision.
I'll make a motion to approve the one-lot subdivision.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Vogel, second by Mr. Bambeck. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Agenda item C, 2025-22, the Unified Development Ordinance.
So this is the public hearing for the Unified Development Ordinance that has been in front of the Planning Commission for a few months now, as briefly discussed at a couple of our other meetings. A good majority of this is just updating and modernizing language, taking our building planning and subdivision control and zoning ordinances, combining them all in one neat little package for residential staff and all in general to look at and find our codes more easily and readily, providing some needed updates to subdivision sections, some zoning language, as well as kind of looking at items that we receive or see a lot of variances for, or request of changes are within some of our PUD guidelines, and updating our standards to kind of more meet those, to reduce the amount of variances we get in, or try and reduce the amount of planned unit developments we might get in. Additionally, this provides an update to our base zone map, and just trying to bring us more into the 2020s instead of 2009 when all this was last undertaken. As such, this has been available for the citizens to review and provide feedback since the first presentation to the Plan Commission back in October. All in all, there were 4 responses received. One was a concern about the changes in lot sizes and the ability for way too many houses to be allowed in residential zoning districts. Again, the reason for those changes was looking at PUDs that had been approved and kind of more mirroring that to try and reduce those amounts. So to try and combat that, or to address that concern, not combat it, my apologies for misterminology there, I provided in a cap on max residential dwelling units that can only be allowed in those zoning classifications. So they cannot exceed a max dwelling units per acre. One was about fences and appreciating the fact that there's a better language and addressing fences on corners better than they are currently, as well as vision triangles, because we've updated that language. And then the third was wanting to make sure that we removed prohibited trees from our current tree species list, and that has also been addressed and taken care of. So those were the main comments that were received from the feedback. There were over 400 views to that page since the time this has been live, and every single draft version that has been in front of the Plan Commission has been online view for all public to see. And then here is the current proposed zone map. I did receive a comment asking if the boxes could be bigger to better illustrate the colors, and then provide a key legend just to kind of help with the conversion of switching the language from like an R1 to a state residential or R2 to suburban residential. So that was something that I was happily able to do and able to make those boxes bigger so that you could tell the colors a little bit bigger. But tonight's public hearing is ready to go, and it is to essentially make a recommendation to the plan or to the town council for their determination on adoption or approval of this ordinance.
Okay. Well, we've discussed it quite a bit, but any questions, comments? There being none, with that, I would invite any members of the public who'd like to come up.
Doug Blocker, 10591 Juniper Lane, St. John. I want to say that I am in favor of the Unified Development Code. I think it's great to have everything all in one location. If people go online, draw a searching here and there, and having it right at your fingertips would be great. I do have some concerns with it though yet, and I'd like to go over those if I can. The streetlights, I still feel that they should have 300-foot separations, not the 600-foot separation that you guys are proposing or the ordinance has. 600 feet is almost one block. I understand that years ago, the town received numerous complaints regarding too many streetlights on the road, and numerous were removed. I think the feelings have changed today, and I think that people feel safer when the streets are lit up better. Also, if the lights are installed in subdivisions before the people buy their homes, those people will know that there's a light there and how it would affect their house before they buy the house. Also, in regards to streetlights, I feel that there needs to be more streetlights installed at the intersections where a subdivision street meets a arterial street. I think you should be able to drive down an arterial street and also see, oh, this intersection is lit up, there's an intersection there. Not be flying down and all of a sudden, oh, there's a light, there was a street there, because the streets are so far set back. I think you need to add additional lights onto the arterial road there, and possibly even a different light standard. I think on the arterial road, when they back up to a subdivision, I think you need to look at how that right-of-way is graded. I think it should be graded, designed so that a public 8-foot public sidewalk on an arterial road should be able to be installed. Whether or not it's installed or not, if it's installed by the developer or later on down the road, I think it needs to be designed so that it can easily be installed at a minimum cost. You go down Parish Road right now, on the east side, those berms are halfway in, are into the right-of-way. Same thing on Klein Avenue on the west side. The berms extend into the right-of-way. On the east side, The edge of the right-of-way is like 4 foot below the street. I mean, how's the town ever going to put sidewalks in those areas? It's impossible without spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on it. For landscaping, I think the town should require all subdivisions to have a landscape buffer along, when the lots back up to a road, that there be a landscape buffer. I think that landscape buffer should be on its own individual outlot, and that outlot would then be owned and maintained by the HOA, not become somebody's an easement in somebody's backyard. You know, the guy's going to say, oh yeah, I got a 140-foot lot. Next thing you know, 25 foot of it is landscape easement, and he can't do nothing with it. So I think having its own separate outlot, the HOA would have control over it as far as what plants go in there, how they're maintained, and so forth. I think you should also look at establishing guidelines as to what landscaping should be installed there. You know, whether or not it's, hey, it's so many trees every so many feet, so many evergreen trees, so many bushes and so forth. You can create standards so that everyone is consistent to provide the screening and buffering it has to, that's needed. As far as the zoning districts, I do have a concern with the sizes of the lots that were proposed. First, for the estate and suburban residential lots, I think that the front yard setbacks should have a minimum setback of 30 feet, not the 20 feet that states in the ordinance. In the suburban residential area, the lot sizes should, in my opinion, should be a minimum of 80 by 140. Also, I think that the duplex lots should not be a permitted use in that district, but rather as a special use. And if they are allowed, then those minimum lot size would be 90 feet by 140. The maximum density in this district, I should be no more than 3 units per acre. If you go with the regulations that were proposed for that area, you look at the Olthoff Homes development, the Grove subdivision that was just approved. He could have came in under these regulations with the entire subdivision as duplex units. And then if he met his lot size of 80 by 130, I believe, you would have to approve it because he's meeting all your standards, and it would be a permitted use. So instead of having his 100 duplex units, he would have, what, 300-400 duplex units? Ridiculous. But, hey, you guys wanted to allow it. For the general residential district, again, I think the front yard setback should be a minimum of 25 feet, not 20 feet. Under that district, the lot size for a single family should be 80 by 130. The lot size for a duplex should be 90 by 130. The lot size for a townhome should be 110 foot wide by 125 foot wide for a 3-unit townhome. And then for each additional unit, you would add 25 feet. The current R3 zoning district that the town currently has limits the townhouse to a maximum of 4 units, 4 attached units. This is what I would also recommend, but if you guys don't agree with that, I see no more than 6 units attached, not the 8 as proposed. To get an idea of what 8 or more units, just go look at the townhouses at 107th Place and Park Place, or the new ones that are being built south of 231 at Park Place. I mean, you got 8, 10, 12 units there. Looks terrible. I think for the density for this area, should be no more than 5 units per acre. And also, I think that the proposed unit sizes, especially for the townhomes, are way too small. I'm not sure why you guys are reducing the zoning regulations so much. I don't know if it's just to satisfy the developers. I'm sure it's not that the residents are asking that for these smaller lot sizes. After you adopt the new regulations, what are you going to do when Schilling comes in with his 60-foot wide lots, 70-foot wide lots. Or you have Olthoff comes in with his 70-foot wide lots. Or you have Lawton come in with his 50-foot wide lots or 20-foot wide townhomes. I think you're going too much, but, you know, if they come in, you guys won't have to worry about that, because the town board, I'm sure, is going to do a pre-annexation and give the developers anything they want, so that when it comes to you for your zoning hearing, hey, you can just tell the surrounding residents, hey, it's already approved, so what? So I hope you consider the changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Good evening, Jack Slager, 8625 Stonegate Court, St. John. I do appreciate the new Unified Development Ordinance. I think it's a great step in the right direction. I have two areas of concern. Number one is the addition of the allowance of ADUs or accessory dwelling units in, as I read it, in all residential areas. So, okay, in all single-family detached areas of town, they now are allowing accessory dwelling units. This could be a living unit above a garage. A garage could be converted into a living unit, or you could have a separate building put up as a residence on the lot. The older parts of St. John have a lot of smaller homes on large lots. I believe this would encourage investors to come into town, buy up these small houses on larger lots, and immediately put up a rental unit, either in the building or adjacent to the building. So I think this is something that needs to be examined closely. There would not be any regulation over this. There's no notification to the neighbors in order to do this. You see this in areas like California or Chicago where they've run out of land and there's no other way to expand their population, but I don't think that St. John is ready for an unlimited number of accessory dwelling units to come in. So that was number one concern. Secondly was the section on urban livestock animal husbandry. This, again, is now allowing in all residential zone lots throughout the town. You are now allowed to have 4 chickens. You are allowed to have 2 colonies of bees, and you are allowed to have up to 4 goats on your property. So again, that's, as I read it, in all residential districts, that's a concern. I think both of those need to be relooked at and reconsidered before this is final approved. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Mr. Huss, you want to give it a spin?
I don't live in the town.
Just kidding. All right. Second call for any public comment. Third and final call for public comment. With that, public hearing on 2025-22 is now closed.
So I do just have a bit of information for the town, for the Plan Commission. Currently in front of this house is a recommended from the local government to pass an amended to House bill that would allow accessory dwelling units by right in all residential zoning districts. That would not just be the town, that's the whole state. As well as allowing duplexes to be built in any residential zoning classification and restricting lot sizes even further than what we have. So while I appreciate and recognize both Mr. Blocker and Mr. Slager's comments, I am watching this bill closely as well as a lot of other planners in the state. But it is recommended to pass, and I am going to be watching the next House session very closely. So part of what this news was I heard rumblings about it, was trying to get us ahead of the curve on that one so that we weren't caught with regulations that the state says that we have to do and not being able to do it. The animal livestock, or the urban livestock, was another thing. There was a bill presented last year, and I haven't seen it come up again this legislative section, but I'm still hearing rumblings about it, about allowing for that type of husbandry to be allowed by right. So it was, again, one of those items of wanting to look at providing that regulation so that we're not getting caught without a regulation, and then it's just by right, people can have however many chickens or goats or anything like that that they want to be able to build on. Their fees are already allowed by right. We can only regulate them. So that was kind of more where that one comes from. So again, I appreciate your comments because this is something that I've heard before, but it's also something that I'm looking at kind of what the state has been doing and trying to keep us from getting caught unawares on regulations that could pass and could impact us in a different way that we might not be prepared for. So I hope this addresses your concern at least, Jack.
I think it's gonna be tough to, I think it's gonna be tough to regulate the ADUs. That it's, if you're gonna go that route, there needs to be more enforcement somehow in there than what's in there now.
Okay. Anyone else, questions, comments? With that, this would come
Would be a
by way of a recommendation.
a recommendation to the town council unless the plan commission feels that there's more finessing that needs to be done to address some of the concerns presented by Mr. Slager or Mr. Blocker tonight, which they could be deferred and we could continue it to next month.
Recommend, don't recommend,
Favorable,
unfavorable,
or
no recommendation, or defer.
Or you could defer and provide me instructions to take a closer look at some of the areas of concern or providing more of that language in that was requested tonight.
It's pretty sketchy. So like Jack was saying that if somebody wanted to build up, they wouldn't have to come in or ask any neighbors or, you know, like they come in, they have to send letters out. There's none of that.
So it would be an allowable use for a single family detached, but they would still have to follow all proper building code. It could not exceed like the dwelling unit, the accessory structure size, anything like that. We wouldn't be able to, similar to like a house, we can't regulate if a person buys a house and rents it out, or a person buys a house and owns it. That's not something that's enforceable by us. It's something really difficult to enforce. But that's what he's talking about, is providing more language to provide more enforcement on it, is what I think he's suggesting. It's just, I'm wondering if it's more, are you recommending it be a special exception across the board?
I would think a special exception would be rather than a permitted use, because at least that way somebody has some say in it, or they're gonna be popping up all over.
So that could be something that the plan commission could request happen.
Does that mean it has to go to BZA first?
It would have to go to the BZA first.
An applicant trying to do that would have to go to the BZA
Correct.
first. And then, to Mr. Slager's point, notice the neighbors, have the hearing, do all that.
The only
And
thing
then
would
the BZA
be.
could put conditions on it too, like no more than so many people live here, or limit the square footage.
Or
something
plead their
like that.
case. Yeah, the
Right.
applicant had to plead their case as to why they wanted the
I would
variance.
provide a bit of caution that if House Bill 1001 does pass, it's an allowable use by right, no matter if we have it by special exception or not. That is my only caveat to that one. I have no problem making it a special exception. But if that bill passes effective July 1st,
It'll supersede our
it
ordinance.
will supersede our ordinance.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it, I mean, the state's gonna do what the state's gonna do, but if we're making a recommendation to the town council, is it,
I would prefer it to be a recommendation that the plan commission is comfortable with.
yeah, and we can say we put in there everything that we should have now, and whatever happens in Indy happens in Indy.
So there could also be that caveat of, if you do decide to make a favorable recommendation tonight, you make it condition upon, like me making the ADUs a special exception in all zoning districts, not an allowable use by right for a detached single family. And that's something that I can easily get done tomorrow morning and make it done based on the Plan Commission's decision.
Anyone else, questions, comments? I mean, I could live with that.
Make ADU special exception only?
Mhm.
Easy enough.
Make a motion to provide a favorable recommendation to town council, provided that ADUs are made a special exception in all zoning districts.
I'll second.
Motion for favorable recommendation with the conditions outlined by Mr. Emschway, second by Mr. Vogel. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye. Aye. That is passed. Agenda item 9, old and new business. I don't see any.
None tonight.
Item 10, request to publish 2026-03 Dancing Waters. Request to publish for a public hearing for the February 18th public meeting for 3-lot subdivision located behind 8575 Wicker Avenue.
So this was, we briefly had a conceptual plan presented to us late last year. This is a 3-lot subdivision. That would be the last section of the Dancing Waters townhome, Myers Edition, Unit 3, something like that. It would be a 3-lot subdivision and an outlot. They are going to be in front of the Plan Commission for their study session in February and a request to publish for the February 18th meeting. So tonight's just a request to publish.
All right, is there a motion to grant the request to publish?
I'll make a motion to request a grant to publish.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Vogel, second by Mr. Bamick. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Public comment, agenda item 11. We've cleared the room. Item 12, adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night.